This is great. Seeing so many of you, I've said this many times on this very stage, that if you didn't turn up, all we would have had this week would be a week of rehearsals, wouldn't we? So I'm glad you're here. Plus the fact that I assume you've all paid. Well, we're not subsidised in any way. What I want you to know is that without these people that you never see, I don't care how good you are as an actor or an actress, you don't stand a cut in half. I'll give you a very good example, because they're always here to help you. Picture we're all behind the tab, setting up a tableau to open the show. It's a dancing sort of show, a bit of ballet, and as they're all setting up, a guy comes out of the wings, the assistant stage manager, and he's going, psst, 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 and he wants the leading lady. You've all got a leading lady, haven't you? That's the one who wants the part, whether it's for somebody at 23 or somebody at 64. You always know that. Well, she was like, and she kept going, go away, go away, how dare you. So off they go, the show goes, she dances away, the splits, the flying and everything, and then the audience went wild. Absolutely. They whistled and they shouted and they screamed, and she came off and she said, and what did you want? He said, it's all right now. It's no. She said, what did you want? He said, well, you left something in the dressing room. Well, what? He said, I thought you'd have wanted these. Ever after that, she was known as Amazing Grace. Thank you very much.
My great pleasure is to thank Frank. We have tried to get him to be more expansive, you know, the use of the arms, but he's getting better at walking around now. We adjudicate him every year. And we are now very old, the pair of us. When we talk now, we talk about the computer that doesn't work and the fact we can't hear. And this year I had a part that was just called Old Woman. So it's happened. It's happened. It's happened. Finally they've got me. But I do thank you on behalf of the Arts Council for coming the way you do, and some that come regularly. And I hope that anyone that's joined us this year, Saturday Knickers would be very welcome to come again, and St Bernard's came, and Ad Hoc. We do welcome you all to join in our festival, which of course we have every year, and I do hope we see you all next year.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've really enjoyed tonight's two plays. I would have liked to sing more. I certainly would have liked to sing Florrie in one. But it's been good, as I say, I'm here as mayor, but this year, the arts that I've seen in the town, the plays that I've seen have been first class. I was at South Pacific the other night, and I've been all year seeing the local Arts Council plays, and it's been tremendous. I think we should be very proud in Southend at the talent that we have, because, you know, they're just so professional. It's just been so enjoyable. I shall miss my year because I've never seen so many plays, because council work usually comes in the way and you can't get out, you've got a meeting and all sorts. So I've enjoyed this part of it very much. As Florrie says, I have been on the Arts Council for many years, and it's a privilege this year to be their president. And it was important that I know that to put plays on is very expensive in the theatres, and the idea is to subsidise the performances in the theatres so that will ease some of the burden. And hopefully, likewise, you will also encourage the disabled and things to come along to the shows and be inclusive for them to perhaps participate, or, you know, behind the scenes, and a few free seats if you've got them. So it will help everybody improve the quality of life as well. We're doing very well at the moment, so I'm fingers crossed that, you know, it will be quite a nice amount that they will receive. But Florrie and the Arts Council work very, very hard, and Florrie's been on my committee as well and has worked really hard. So Thank you all very much. I really enjoyed it.
And there is the silverware, and Lady Mayor is poised to present. The first award this evening for the most promising junior team. In every case, I will give you the nominations whom I considered. This is, after all, one step better than the Oscars. So my nominations for the most promising junior team, and I stress the word promising. What adjudicator needs to do here is to look for promise. Not actually what we saw, but what is promised by what we saw. And the three featuring as by nominations are Goldilocks on Trial for the wonderful discipline and choreography of that piece, Blackout from the Dean School, which showed terrific discipline in the forming of patterns, the breaking of patterns, the reforming of new patterns. If the characters were unfocused, the choreography was as sharp as a pin. And the third of the junior teams, The Dating Game from Thurrock Youth Theatre, a series of sketches, not a completely coherent evening, but one which made you want to see those young people acting in something which stretched them more. As I saw it, the most promise on display in that first piece came from the Dean School with Blackout. And the second award, the Leslie Lawton Cup, which is for the best junior team, that is to say, the team which most successfully realised the work it had on the night. And here I think the award goes to a group which gave us a dazzling display of total theatre, which included dance, mime, characterisations using the whole of the stage, forming patterns like a kaleidoscope. It was certainly the most successful of the juniors, and of course the Leslie Lawton Cup with the best junior team goes to Goldilocks on Trial. We move on to the Cedar Award, which is given for the best original play. There are actually 6 new plays, but one has been previously performed and adjudicated. So the 5 original plays, which are in contention, are Goldilocks on Trial by Emma Frances Carlyle, as I understand it, devised with a leader. First Signs by Eve Brand, that gentle awakening play about those that burgeoning friendship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by Paula Pierce, which showed the monotony of a long night shift, well spiced with gossip. The Chosen Few by Carol Hayes, very interesting series of sketches, not totally integrated into a satisfying whole. And similarly, The Dating Game by Alex Lawler, clearly a young writer, again sketches not totally integrated into a whole. The Best Original Play Award goes to Paula Pierce for 1, 2, 3. You're going to keep writing, aren't you? We move on to the best stage presentation, and it starts to become slightly more difficult and the competition slightly more fierce. There were some very good stage presentations. Goldilocks on Trial was clearly a stunner in terms of visual and audio, immediate contact with the audience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we've just mentioned, had wonderful attention to detail, a very credible desk and all the clutter around that central area. The Lover had a wonderful, spare, arid, elegant set which caught the mood of the piece almost before the action opened. First Signs had the distinction of packing 2 believable spaces, 2 believable living areas into a very small space. And Easy Stages, which we saw this evening, had that comic air of a backstage chaos. The Best Stage Presentation Award, Arts Council Shield for the Best Stage Presentation, goes to Southend Drama Society for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey!
We move on to Best Comedy, where again I was given pause for thought and had to do some agonising. As a comedy, Goldilocks on Trial still worked very well. Easy Stages by Rods had a nice zany comic element. Ditto Turner's Lunch, if it wasn't fully realised. And the 4th nomination is Kids by Southend Drama Society, in which we had that wonderful regression into childhood. And the Borough Players' Shield for the best comedy goes to Kids. Best performance in a supporting role sometimes causes a bit of a ruckus backstage and in correspondence with the adjudicator subsequently, because it's often quite difficult to define what is a supporting role. The following are the roles which I found were in support of main action and which struck me as being worthy of nominations. First, Travis, played by Vic Gray in The Chosen Few. Secondly, Rachel, that was the trainee nurse in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again supporting the action at a late stage in the play. I have to include as a performance in a supporting role the quiet, sidling, grumpy Sid in Easy Stages, played by Jerry Searle. And finally, in a support role, always there, they're never taking the lead in dialogue, Baby in Kids, played by Nina Basil. And of those, I think the most impressive performance in that support role was played by and goes to Baby in Florrie Holland Cup for the best female performance. A number of nominations for this award. First of all, Pat, staff nurse Pat, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, who of all those 5 came most alive in that delightfully slovenly sort of way. Secondly, Baby in Kids by Southend Drama, again played by Nina Basil. Third, Sarah in The Lover, played by Dawn Stratton, one of the coolest and sexiest and most unnerving Sarahs that I've seen in a long time. And finally, Patsy in Easy Stages, who perhaps most effectively in that play created a whole character out of the lines that were given. The Florrie Holland Cup for the best female performance goes to Sarah in The Lover. Well played. Best male performance was the Frank McGrath Trophy. This was an interesting one to consider, and I'll explain why. Man in Footprints in the Sand, that's a particularly difficult role that I think the actor tried hard to make something of. It's a very difficult role and not altogether satisfactory on the page. There was Richard in The Lover, Pinter's The Lover, very, very coolly and austerely and reservedly played. But in both of those cases, the actors are given plenty to work with. They can go to town on what they have. But there was another part which impressed me as a male role, which was Travis in The Chosen Few, where there is very little for the actor to go on. This is an actor's award, and if you have a thinly written part, you have to bring your own creativity, make what you can of this part, creating a character. I think Mann played well to his lines, and Richard played certainly well to his lines. Travis had to bring more imagination to this thinly written part, which is why he features among the nominations. And why the Frank McGrath Trophy for the best male performance goes to Vic Gray as Travis. Where's your Mac, Vic?
Behind.
We come to the Chris Dunham Award for the Best Director. It's quite a difficult one for an adjudicator to sense. It's not something that's immediately apparent, the influence a director has with a cast, but you do get to sense it where the actors are responding to an overall vision of the play, which gives it something more. And the 3 contenders I have here, first of all, Kids, that creation of the children's world, finding the very difficult blend of childhood behaviour and almost philosophy, was my first contender. Kids, the director of Kids. Secondly, the director of Goldilocks on Trial, managing to get that almost military dash and discipline from that large cast. And thirdly, the very cool and assured approach to a part which still managed to bring out the bubbling saucepan underneath the lid. The Chris Dunham Award for the Best Director goes to Felicity Rose for The Lover.
That's the nicest Felicity I've ever seen.
Felicity, how you've changed. We have the Bofors Special Award, which is given at the adjudicator's discretion. And I always like, when there's an adjudicator's award, to go for one particular thing. One-act festivals can sometimes produce a collection of plays which are very safe. They're homely plays which don't take too much risk. They're good old pot boilers. They generally do well. And a safe festival, I had 2 very safe festivals last year, can be a little bit boring. So I like to give the Adjudicator Special Award for risk-taking. If you went into something like diving, there are certain dives which have a high tariff, more difficult, but get more points. So it's that kind of thing that I like to give the Adjudicators Award for. And there were 4 contenders for this high-risk undertaking, which I'm commending to you. One was Footprints in the Sand. A very difficult, gloomy, dark play, a very tortuous road towards salvation. Very, very difficult to get right, difficult play to take on. And I commend the peer players for trying that. Goldilocks on Trial took a big risk. You only need 1 in a chorus to scratch their nose at the wrong point, and all the discipline has gone. That was wonderful plastic theatre, a big risk to take an original play and to stage it that way. Blackout by the Dean School was exceptionally high risk. Taking that play, which depends so much on character development, and doing the whole thing with an ensemble so that parts were switched from person to person, is a way I have never seen it done before, and I don't think was entirely successful, but was a massive risk to take. And why not take a gamble in a one-act festival if you have confidence in doing it that way? And the final risk-taking venture was Kids by Southend Drama, where you're depending on your actors to reach back into their childhood and produce something that will convince an audience who perfectly well remember their own children. So the Bofors Special Award for risk-taking, I'm awarding to Blackout by Dean School. We come to the 2 final awards. The first of these 2 is runners-up, and the second is, of course, overall winner. I'm giving the runners-up trophy, the Blackwell Cup, to a piece which, on the face of it, is a comedy, but in fact enshrines a whole lot more, both in its words and in the visual picture that it presents to us. I think this was brilliantly done. Only 2 marks from the winner, and the Blackwell Cup for runners-up goes to Kids by Southend. The Ray Cooney Trophy for the winning team goes to a production which I found very confident in itself and its approach to the text, had great style, great poise, very few weaknesses, and I think had class written all over it from the opening moment. I mean, of course, The Lover from... That's nice coming down together. Yes, you will. Well done.
Hi, I'm John Scowen, the chairman of the Thurrock Drama Festival, and we have a 4-length and 1-act festival that runs from the 5th of June to the 11th of June 2011 at the Thameside Theatre in Grays. I hope you might come and join us. Thank you.